Okay, good day everyone. Today we will discuss about topic number 2 in your module, which is the inventory management. Now, before we go deeper with our discussion today, let us first know and understand what do we mean by inventory management. So when we say inventory, this is it refers to all the items, goods, merchandise, and materials held by a business for selling in the market to earn a profit. So, ibig sabihin, si inventory, nagagamit natin siya para malaman kung ilan na yung nabentang mga product ninyo, ilan pa ba yung kukunin yung stock, or ilan yung pumasok na revenue sa mismong business mo. So aside from defining inventory, let us also know the definition of this inventory management. So this inventory management helps companies identify which and how much stock to order at what time. So malalaman mo with the use of these documents or this inventory, malalaman ng isang businesswoman or businessman kung ilan yung bibilhin niyang stock, kung ano yung mabili na product, kung ano yung hindi masyadong mabili na product. This inventory tracks from purchase to the sale of goods. So, in here, in your module in number 2, topic number 2, we have a short background that deals with the inventory management when it comes to the supply chain. So, as seen under the major objectives of supply chain, one of the basic objectives is to ensure that all the activities and functions within as well as across the company are managed efficiently. And one factor that a certain supply chain management flow with a good result or maganda yung flow niya mismo ay because of the inventory management. A good, accurate, maayos, organized inventory management of a certain company. So many strategies are developed with the objective of streamlining inventories beyond the supply chain and holding the inventory investment as low as possible. The supply chain managers tend to maintain the inventories as low as possible because of the inventory investment. What do we mean by this inventory investment? This is the difference between goods produced or the production and the goods sold in a given year. That is inventory investment. Kung ilan ba yung na-produce sa isang taon at ilan yung nabenta doon sa na-produce na product sa isang taon. Why do we need to measure inventory investment when it comes to the inventory management? It is because this inventory investment is a measurement of the change in the inventory levels in an economy from one time period to the next. So, malalaman mo kung ilan yung iproproduce mo for the next year or for the susunod na taon, kung ilan ba yung ibabawas mo doon sa production kasi hindi mabenta, or kung dadagdagan mo pa yung mismong production mo kasi mas marami yung nakaka-appreciate, madami na yung bumibili doon sa product. So that is the inventory investment. Now, let's go down into the rule of inventory. Ano bang gamit ni inventory? This inventory in the supply chain is that uh, it is the sustained key to success, meaning the inventory plays a very important role in supply chains, most especially when it comes to balancing the demands and the supply parameters. But of course, the effective management of this inventory depends upon the size of the company. Siyempre, kung mas malaki yung company mismo, mas malaki yung revenue ng company, then mas malawak yung coverage ni mismong inventory. Gaya, kabaliktaran naman noon, kung maliit lang yung kumpanya, then maliit lang yung coverage ni inventory. Okay, so in the some definitions or explanations in your module, it says that before we understand the rule of inventory in a certain supply chain, we need to understand the cordial relationship between the manufacturer and the client. Bakit kaya? Bakit kailangan nating intindihin yung relationship na meron ang isang manufacturer or the producer and the client? Because inventory plays a very important role or a significant role in balancing the demand and supply. Sino ba yung involved sa demand and supply? We have here the manufacturer and the customer. So handling clients or the customer, coping up with their demands, and creating relationship with those producer is a critical section of managing supply chain. Because of this network, these connections na na-discuss natin with our first topic, mas napapalawak yung mismong coverage or yung mismong sakop ng isang company. And kung konti lang yung network mo, konti lang yung connections mo with the other company, with the other sectors in the business industry, then hindi ganon madali na lalaki yung mga pumapasok or nakukuha mong demand, pumapasok na revenue or nakikita mong revenue sa company. So there are many instances where we see the concept of a collaborative relationship being marked as the essence of the supply chain management. However, a deeper analysis of a supply chain relationship, especially those including product flows, exposes that at the heart of this relationship is the inventory movement and storage. So we have here the most fundamental functions that inventory has in supply chains are as to supply and support the balance of the demand and supply. This is one of the function of this inventory when it comes to supply chain. Another, to effectively cope with the forward and reverse flow in a supply chain. So what do we mean by this forward and reverse flow in the supply chain? So in many cases, when we say forward or the forward logistic, this includes production development, material sourcing, manufacturing, transportation to distribution centers, and the final mile delivery to a customer. In other words, a forward supply chain implies a series of activity required to produce new products from virgin or raw materials and distribute them to consumers or the customers. So, in the other hand, when we say reverse flow naman, this is a supply chain that requires collecting used products from consumer and reprocessing it to either recover their leftover market values or dispose them. Si reverse logistic or the reverse supply chain, this is a type of a SCM that moves good from customer, so galing sa customer, back to the seller or back to the supplier, to the producer itself. What are the examples of this reverse flow or reverse logistic? Yung may mga defect na product na na-deliver or na-supply sa isang customer, then po pwede ginagamit yung reverse flow in a certain supply chain kasi binabalik or kinukuha ulit yung mga sinoply na distribute ng mga product because of some defects or leaks sa mga products na yon. Another is the return of goods by the customer. Siguro because they have a contract na kapag hindi nabenta yung mga products, ay ibabalik ni customer yon doon sa mismong pinagkuhanan na. Those are examples of reverse flow in a certain supply chain. So companies need to manage the upstream supplier exchanges and the downstream customer demands. We already encountered such word na upstream and downstream. So when we say upstream, this is upstream. This is a supply chain that includes all the activities related to the organization suppliers, meaning these are parties that source raw materials inputs to send to the manufacturer. They are the ones that na nagpro-provide, nagsusupply ng mga raw materials to those manufacturer or producer para gawin nila or i-convert nila na i-convert nila yung mga materials up to its finished product. That is upstream. Kumbaga, the water flows opposite, ag pangato, upstream. And when we say downstream naman, this is a supply chain refers to the activities post-manufacturing, namely distributing the product to customer. Parang ganito yung magiging dating niya. Let's say, for example, we have here the manufacturer. And if you're talking of upstream from a certain party or a company that supplies raw materials to the manufacturer, pataas siya kasi siya yung nagsusupply, siya yung nagpro-provide ng mga raw materials. And si manufacturer or the producer, the one will convert that certain raw materials up to its finished product. And when we say downstream, yung mga finished product na to, i-deliver yan ni manufacturer sa mga customer. So this is upstream and this is downstream. Okay. So in this situation, the company enters a state where it has to maintain the balance between fulfilling the demands of the customer, which is mostly very difficult to predict with precision or accuracy, and maintaining adequate supply of materials and goods. So without this network na na-discuss na natin, hindi natin malalaman kung magkakaroon or ilan ba yung demand ni mismong customer. Remember, supply chain network, this is the movement of materials and the information that assess the flow of the supply chain. Without network, those company na nagpro-provide, nagpro-produce ng mga product will not have this accurate demand from the market. Hindi nila alam kung ilan ba yung kailangan or ilan ba yung i-deliver nila sa isang lugar, sa isang market. So this balance can be obtained through inventory. So this is the use of inventory. For accuracy and for precision, na accuracy or precision, malalaman ng isang kumpanya kung ano ba yung mga kailangan na i-supply, mga kailangan na i-distribute sa isang market because of the inventory. And in the part of the customer naman, in the part of the one na nagbebenta ng product, malalaman din niya kung ilan yung kukunin niyang stock, ilan yung kukunin niyang product sa mismong manufacturer para ibenta. Okay, so we have here different models that deals with the inventory management. We have the optimization model. Optimization model of supply chain are those models that codify the practical or real life issues into mathematical model. In order for us to understand what is this optimization model, let us first define optimization model. If you still remember our first topic and we encountered the word stochastic optimization, those are solutions or ways in order to cover up or solve such problem. So, in general, when we say optimization, these are used in many areas of study in order to find solutions that maximize or minimize some other parameters. So this can be a substitute plan B sa mga plan A natin na nagka-problema, naka-encounter tayo ng mga uncertain problems throughout the execution of our plan A. So, here comes optimization model para at least yung plan A natin matuloy pa rin and those aberya, those problems that we encounter in such plans can be covered up, can be solved in such models. So, this optimization model, gaya ng nasa module ninyo, It codified the practical or real life issue into a mathematical model. So what do we mean by this mathematical model? This is a description of system using mathematical concept and language. So we will be dealing with the different variables, different operations with such optimization. But don't worry guys, hindi naman gaya nung mga culinary math ninyo, yung supply chain management natin. These are just part of the concept or part of the topic that we will be discussing. So the main objective to construct in this mathematical model is to maximize and minimize an objective function. In addition to this, some constraints are added to these issues for defining the feasible region. We can try to generate an efficient algorithm that or algorithm that examine all possible solutions that return the best solution in the end. So what are these supply chain optimization models? We have the mixed integer linear programming. I know when you were in senior high school, in high school, na-encounter nyo na itong mga linear numbers na to, yung mga integers number na ito. So speaking of the mixed integer linear programming in supply chain, this is a mathematical modeling approach used to get the best outcome of a system with restriction. This model is broadly used in many optimization areas such as production, planning, transportation, network design. So anong gamit ni mixed integer linear programming or what we call the MILP? This is used to get the best outcome of a system with restriction. Remember, we are still dealing with inventory. This MILP comprises a linear objective function with some limitation constraint constructed by continuous integer variables. The main objective of this model is to get an optimal solution of the object function. I will show you an example of this mixed integer linear programming. Oh, I'm sorry. Ano pala ako? Naka-share na pala gaya. But then let's look at this one. Mix in. Okay, unfortunately, I will just send a link of a video that explains or give example about mixed integer linear programming. Isa-send ko kapag nasend ko na yung lecture na to sa inyo. So, aside from this one, we also have here the stochastic modeling. So, what does this model what are the functions of this stochastic modeling? So this is a mathematical approach that represents data or predicting outcomes in a situation where there is randomness or unpredictability to some extent. Example, a production unit. The manufacturing process generally has some unknown parameters like quality of the input materials, reliability of the machines, and competence within the employees. These parameters have an impact on the outcome of the manufacturer process, but it is impossible to measure them with absolute values. So, on the, on the part of production, meron tayong mga na-encounter na mga problema such as the reliability of the machines. Minsan, merong mga machines na hindi na nagwo-work. Merong mga machines na kahit bago pa lang, bigla na lang nasisira. Eh, how about yung mismong production mo na kapag ganun ang nangyari? In these cases, where we need to find absolute value for unknown parameters which cannot be measured exactly, we use a stochastic modeling approach. What is the main use of this stochastic modeling? This is to help make investment decision. Siyempre, kung iisipin ng isang businessman or businesswoman about the investment, about the pag-expand ng mismong company niya or business niya, po pwede niyang gamitin si stochastic model. Since this is a form of financial model that is used to help make investment decision. This type of model forecasts the probability of various outcomes under different conditions. Makikita mo dito kung ano yung mga posible na maging resulta sa mga activity inside a certain business or a supply chain. Okay. Another model, we have also the uncertainty. Uncertainty, while using a realistic modeling approach, the system has to take uncertainties. When we say uncertainties, walang kasiguraduhan. The uncertainty is evaluated to a level where the uncertainty characteristic of the system are modeled with probabilistic nature. Still, we are dealing with optimization. In a certain business, there are uncertainty, gaya ng discussion natin nung huli. Merong mga hindi natin ma-forecast, hindi natin ma-predict kung ano yung kakalabasan niya. Pero nagtitake pa rin ng risk yung mga businessman, businesswoman in order to see what will be the result of such uncertainty action. We use uncertainty modeling for characterizing the uncertain parameters with the probability instruction. It takes dependence into account easily as input, just like the Markov chain. So this Markov chain is an example of stochastic modeling. Ano ba yung sinasabi or paano ba nagwo-work ang isang Markov chain? This is a mathematical process that transitions from one state to another within a finite number of possible states. It is a collection of the different states and probabilities of a variable where the future condition or state is substantially dependent on its immediate previous. Ano ba yung gamit ni Markov chain, ma'am? Bakit nakalagay siya sa uncertainty modeling? These Markov are exceptionally used in order to model discrete time. It used to discrete space stochastic process. However, this Markov chain kasi, meron din siyang mga advantage and disadvantages when it comes to uncertainty modeling. So, these are the common ways of modeling uncertainty. One of the example or one of the ways in order to model uncertainty is the Markov chain. Ito kasi nagpo-provide ka lang ng other procedures, ng other computation, other ways in order to know such inventory in a company or in the supply chain. However, it's uncertain. Walang kasiguraduhan sa kung ano man ang kakalabasan ng mga model na to, sa kakalabasan ng mga ng mismong activity or hindi natin alam yung output or outcome nito. Okay? And the last one, we have the Bilevel Optimization. This is a issue arises in real life situation whenever a decentralized or hierarchical decision needs to be made. In this type of situation, multiple parties make decisions one after the other, which influences their respective profit. Meaning this bi-level optimization is a special kind of optimization where one problem is embedded within another. Ibig sabihin, meron isang malaking problema in a certain supply chain. And within that certain problem na nakikita na, meron pang mga problema sa loob nito. Problems are embedded within another. The outer optimization task is commonly referred as to the upper level. This optimization helps to at least make solution to solve such problem, to cover up such problem para kahit papaano maging maganda pa rin yung kakalabasan ng mga activity na to inside a supply chain. So, if there are problems within a problem, then we can use a bi-level optimization. Ngayon, kung meron ka namang gagawin na hindi mo sure kasi wala pang nakagawa nito, wala ka pang nakita na mga businessman, mga business owner, mga company na gumawa nito, then you can use the uncertainty modeling. In the stochastic modeling naman, since this is a mathematical approach, we can use such stochastic modeling sa mga cases na we all know that during the execution of such activity, such task in a certain supply chain, ay alam natin na magkakaroon ng problema. So, stochastic modeling is fit to such scene or to such instance. And the first one, we have the mixed integer linear. Ito naman, titignan mo kasi kung ano yung minimum and the maximum, the best outcome of such system in a certain supply chain but with some restriction. Titignan mo kung ano dito yung mas magandang gamitin. Ano dito yung pasok sa budget mo. So, that is in the mixed integer linear programming. And since this is programming na i-input siya into a computer, merong program na ginagawa in a computer in order to get or to calculate such integer or such computation mathematical solutions, mathematical problems in a certain supply chain. So these are the different optimization models that we can use if we are dealing with the inventory management. Lahat ng optimization, naglalayon na ang maging outcome or ang maging result nito ay sa ikakabuti ng mga business. Okay, so I hope may naintindihan kayo and I hope na panood ninyo at you listen carefully with our video lecture. For next meeting, we will be discussing the third topic already, which is all about the pricing and revenue. So, thank you so much guys for listening. Alam nyo na yung gagawin kapag nagsasend si ma'am ng video lecture.